My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of 527. Now, this is a movie that I've owned for quite a few years, but I never watched it. But since I've been reviewing romantic movies for this month, I figured I'd finally put it in and give my thoughts on it, and I have to say, I was not a fan. Well, we'll get to it, but let's begin talking about the things I did like. And the reason why I actually bought this movie is because it stars Anton Yelchin, and I think this guy was such a great actor, taken from us far too soon. I've loved him in everything I've seen him in, and he's really great in this movie. He has so much charm and charisma behind him, and I think he carries this movie incredibly well. You've also got Birance Mulu, who I'm not familiar with as an actress, but I think she does a very good job. She's got plenty of charm as well. She's very likable. You've got Olivia Thirlby. The I remember her because she was in Dread, but she does a good job in this movie as well. You've got Lambert Wilson, who I think does a good job. You've got Glenn Close, who's in it for a very short time, but she's good as well. And you've got Frank Langella, who's a very underrated actor, if you ask me, but he's good as well. So the cast is not the issue. Everyone does a good job with the materials they're given to work with, and I think this is a well-directed movie by Victor Levin. There is this one scene where the main character goes to a party, and we see him meet everyone from his point of view, and I thought that was such a unique, interesting decision there. And I liked the music by Danny Bensi and Sandra Joannes. I thought it had a nice sound to it. The movie starts just like that, which I really appreciated, but I didn't realize what the plot was. And, well, it's about this man who meets this woman, and they meet every day between 5 and 7, and it's because she's a French lady, and it's a French custom, I suppose. Well, during 5 to 7 is 2 hours of the day where you're allowed to commit adultery on your husband. And I'm just like, oh, it's one of these movies. I do not like that premise. I do not like it at all. Now, people always say to leave subjectivity out of your thoughts when reviewing movies, but you can't. Everything you view, everything you talk about is through a subjective lens. I think it's important to do that when you watch a movie like Captain America 2. I don't like Chris Evans as a person. I don't like Leonardo DiCaprio as a person, but I still acknowledge they're both great actors and they're in some great movies. So I think that's when it's important to leave it out of it. But when you're looking at the movie and what the movie is doing and what the movie has to say and all of that, I think it is fair to view it on a judgmental level. You know, there was this movie called, what's it called? Something Bored. And I hate this movie because it's this girl who's who's cheating with her best friend's fiance, and it's supposed to make it feel romantic and all that, but the entire time I'm just like, these are all shit people, and I hate that movie. The only good person in that movie, John Krasinski, is the only person who doesn't get a happy ending. But here, the entire movie is this woman committing adultery on her husband, and it's supposed to be romantic, and I just fundamentally disagree with that. I think it's very gross. I think it's very questionable, and they play into the questionable ethics for the first little bit, but then they just throw them away, and I just didn't like this main character. I viewed him as a homewrecker. I viewed the girl as someone who's just in this terrible marriage, and I just didn't like anything what I was seeing on screen. And there's some movies that can do that I like. I think The Notebook is a very good movie. I enjoy it. But the entire second half of that movie is Rachel McAdams is married to someone else, but she reunites with Ryan Gosling, and all of those old feelings rise to the surface. And what I like about it is that at least it's not, even though she does leave her husband for him, there is some bit of depth and nuance to everything going on. Same with a movie like Bridges of Madison County. I think that's actually one of Clint Eastwood's best movies. I think it's very good. And there are people who are married who do fall in love with other people. I don't think it's right, but it's something that happens. And if you tell a story that at least attempts to give that some bit of depth and nuance, I can at least view it through a subjective lens and watch it. But this movie doesn't even attempt to do that. It's just, look how romantic this is, and the mean husband and her kids are just taking it away from the main character. But I just don't view the movie like that. And yeah, I don't like the plot. I can't connect to it. I didn't want these two to end up together. I hated the characters. And when Glenn Close is just like, oh, you shouldn't mess around with love. If this is what they chose, and so be it. And I'm just like, no, it's wrong. It's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong. It's like, you know that movie, Call Me By Your Name? I've watched it, and it's a very well-made movie. I love the soundtrack. I don't agree with certain elements to it, but the reason why I can never watch that movie again is because the boy is 17 years old, and he's in a romance with an older man. And I know it's just 1 year, but that's gross, that's disgusting, and that's something that shouldn't be accepted. It shouldn't be normalized, and I feel like movies do that to a certain degree. So I don't know if any of my thoughts are making sense, but look, if you are taking a movie like The Notebook or Bridges of Madison County and you attempt to give the characters some depth, some nuance, and you're not painting it in a black or white manner, then I can at least get on board with the movie and see what it's trying to do. But when it's a movie like this, where it's just brought up for like 5 minutes that maybe this is wrong, and then it's forgotten, and then the husband, who's actually the good guy, well, not really, because he does it too, but it's just about a homemaker doing shitty things, and a wife with a bullshit point of view, and a husband with a bullshit point of view. There was nothing for me to latch onto. There was no bit of depth or nuance. It's just, we do this because it's French culture, nothing more to it, and I hated it. Also, the last act of this movie goes on for far too long. Far too long. It's just, we get it. And then they try to wrap everything in a nice little bow, and it doesn't quite work. There was a movie that I just reviewed like 2 days, which the review drops out next month. It's called Cha Cha Real Smooth. And I hate these movies. Well, they attempt to show very questionable, very unethical women older women being some source of wisdom and just having profound things to say on life when they're anything but that. And I've just noticed it's a bit of a pattern recently. Started with 500 Days of Summer, and now we're here. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and give 527 a 4 out of 10. Even though I disagree with everything this movie's trying to do, like I said, I'll still say that it's a well-made movie, it's well acted. I just think the story and the ethics on display are complete shit. But yeah, anyways, 527. Have you seen it? Probably not. Not a lot of people have. But if you have, by any chance, what did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon. And Gavin, out.